Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Stoic Compass. I'm Jim Walker, and today we're talking about the hardest word in the English language. No.
I'm Eleanor Vance, and I'm already predicting Jim has said yes to at least 3 things this week he didn't want to do.
5, actually.
Of course it is.
Before we dive in, hit like and subscribe. Unless you don't want to, in which case, practice saying no. See what I did there?
Very clever, though I'm saying yes to that being a terrible sales pitch.
Fair. So I read this article by James Clear about saying no, and Ellie, it's basically a manifesto for recovering people-pleasers like myself.
What's his main argument?
That the ultimate productivity hack is saying no. Not doing something will always be faster than doing it. There's an old programming saying, there is no code faster than no code.
That's brilliant, and very stoic, by the way.
How so?
Epictetus was obsessed with this. He said we should examine every impression before giving our assent. Saying yes to everything is giving uncritical approval to every demand on your time.
I'm terrible at this. Someone asks me to do something, and I immediately say, sure thing. Then 3 days later, I'm drowning in obligations.
Classic mistake. You're frustrated by commitments you chose yourself.
Clear says we need to ask if things are necessary. Many aren't, and a simple no is more productive than the most efficient yes.
So why do we say yes so often if no is so obviously better?
Because we don't want to be seen as rude, arrogant, or unhelpful. Especially with people we'll interact with again. Coworkers, friends, family.
Right. You're worried about the relationship.
Exactly. We like these people and want to support them. Plus, we often need their help too. The thought of straining the relationship outweighs our time commitment.
But here's the Stoic distinction. There's a difference between being helpful and being a doormat. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. We're meant to serve others, but not at the cost of our own integrity or purpose.
So how do I know when to say yes versus when to say no?
Keep going with the article. I bet Clear has an answer.
He does. He says yes and no aren't equal weights. When you say no, you're only saying no to one option. But when you say yes, you're saying no to every other option.
Wait, say that again? That's profound.
Every time you say yes to a request, you're saying no to anything else you might accomplish with that time. Once you commit, you've decided how that future time will be spent.
So saying no saves future time, but saying yes costs future time.
Clear calls no a form of time credit. You retain the ability to spend your future however you want. Yes is time debt. You have to pay it back.
I love that framework. No is a decision. Yes is a responsibility.
That's the exact quote. But here's where I struggle. Isn't saying no a luxury only powerful people can afford?
That's the objection people always raise.
Clear acknowledges it's easier when you have power and money, but he argues saying no isn't just a privilege. It's also a strategy that helps you become successful in the first place.
Because you're retaining your most important asset, time. The Stoics would completely agree. Seneca wrote that we're careless with our time in a way we'd never be with our money.
There's a quote from investor Pedro Sorrentino. If you don't guard your time, people will steal it from you.
That's the dichotomy of control and action. You can't control others' requests, but you absolutely control your response.
And then Clear brings in Steve Jobs, who said people think focus means saying yes to what you're focusing on. But it actually means saying no to the 100 other good ideas.
The 100 other good ideas, that's the key phrase.
Right. You're not just saying no to bad things. You're saying no to good things so you can say yes to great things.
This is where most people fail. They think if something is good, they should do it. But the Stoics understood that good is the enemy of great.
Wait, the Stoics said that?
Not in those words, but yes. They distinguished between things that align with virtue versus things that are merely preferred indifference. Just because something is pleasant or beneficial doesn't mean it's necessary.
Okay, but Clear also warns against taking this too far. He says saying no doesn't mean never doing anything spontaneous or exploratory.
What's his caveat?
That you say yes in a focused way. Once you've knocked out distractions, you can try many things to discover what works. This exploration is especially important at the beginning of projects or careers.
So there's a progression. First, eliminate obvious distractions, then explore, then as you improve, continuously raise your threshold for saying yes.
He calls it upgrading your nose. You have to say no to opportunities that were previously good uses of time to make space for great uses of time.
That's a good problem to have.
That's exactly what he says, but it's a tough skill to master.
Because you have to keep saying no to things your past self would have jumped at. That requires continuous self-assessment.
There's a great quote from investor Brent Bashore. Saying no is so powerful because it preserves the opportunity to say yes.
That's the Stoic concept of voluntary action. You want your yeses to be choices, not reflexes.
Clear says the general trend is, If you learn to say no to bad distractions, eventually you'll earn the right to say no to good opportunities.
Which brings us to the practical question: how do you actually say no?
He suggests asking yourself, if I had to do this today, would I agree to it? Because any future commitment will eventually become an imminent problem.
Oh, that's clever. It removes the false buffer of future time.
Right. If an opportunity is exciting enough to drop what you're doing right now, it's a yes. If not, think twice.
This is similar to Derek Sivers' hell yeah or no method.
That's exactly what clear reference is. If someone asks you to do something and your first reaction isn't hell, yeah, then say no.
But doesn't that seem extreme? Not everything can be hell yeah exciting.
True, but the point is most of us are too quick to say yes and too slow to say no. We need to overcorrect.
Fair point. And there's another consideration. It's easier to avoid commitments than escape them. Prevention versus cure.
Clear quotes Mike Dariano on this. Saying no keeps you toward the easier end of the spectrum.
So let me connect this explicitly to Stoicism, because there are several principles at play here.
Please do. I'm seeing the connections, but not the full framework.
First, the dichotomy of control. You can't control other people's requests, but you control your assent. Epictetus would say every yes should be a conscious choice, not automatic compliance.
Okay, what else?
Second, living according to nature, specifically your nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote about staying true to your purpose. Every yes that doesn't serve your purpose is a betrayal of your nature.
That's harsh but accurate.
Third, the virtue of wisdom. Wisdom means understanding what truly matters versus what merely seems important. Saying no requires that discernment.
And fourth?
The practice of voluntary discomfort. Saying no is uncomfortable, especially to people you care about, but the Stoics believed in choosing difficult actions that align with virtue over easy actions that don't.
So saying no is actually a form of Stoic training?
Absolutely. You're training yourself to withstand social pressure, to prioritize purpose over comfort, to exercise your will deliberately.
Clear ends with a powerful point. More effort is wasted doing things that don't matter than doing things inefficiently.
Therefore, elimination is more useful than optimization.
Exactly. He quotes Peter Drucker. There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all.
That's the ultimate synthesis. The Stoics would add, there's nothing so tragic as wasting your limited time on earth doing things that don't align with virtue.
Okay, but I still have a practical problem. How do I say no to my friend who wants me to help them move this weekend?
Do you want to help them move?
Not really. I barely know them, and I have a lot of work to do.
Then the answer is no. You can be warm and gracious about it. Clear emphasizes that, but the answer is still no.
What if they get upset?
That's outside your control. You control your decision and how you communicate it. You don't control their reaction. Trying to control their reaction by saying yes is a betrayal of the dichotomy of control.
That's really clarifying, actually.
The Stoics believed that people-pleasing is a form of servitude, not to the other person, but to your own fear of disapproval.
Ouch. True, but ouch.
Here's another way to think about it. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. You're saying no to your work, your rest, your actual priorities.
So I'm already saying no. I'm just choosing what to say no to.
Exactly. The question isn't whether you'll say no, it's whether you'll say no to random requests or no to your own purpose.
That reframes everything. I'm not being selfish by saying no. I'm being protective of what actually matters.
Now you're thinking like a Stoic. Seneca wrote that we treat our time like it's unlimited, but guard our property like misers. We should do the opposite.
Guard time like a miser. Be generous with property.
Right. Because you can always make more money. You cannot make more time.
So, starting today, I'm going to practice saying no to things that don't align with my purpose.
Good. And remember Clear's advice. Be gracious and warm when you say it. No doesn't have to be cruel.
Can I practice on you? Will you help me move this weekend?
No. But I appreciate you asking, and I wish you well with the move.
That was perfect, warm but clear.
Years of practice. Though I should note, I actually would help you move because we're co-hosts, and that seems important.
See, that's the nuance. Some things are worth saying yes to.
Definitely. The Stoics weren't hermits. They understood community and mutual aid. The key is conscious choice, not reflexive agreement.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of saying no, guarding your time, and living with purpose, everyone.
Until next time, practice saying no to things that don't matter so you can say yes to things that do.
And remember, no is a complete sentence.
Though a gracious sentence is usually better.
This podcast is powered by voxcrea.ai, where ideas find their voice.